Good morning, my friends. This is our New Testament challenge, and today I'll be sharing some thoughts on the 10th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. My first thoughts on this. I don't know if you had this, but I remember having this conversation with my father when I told him I wanted to become a pastor, wanted to enter into the ministry. He pulled me aside and had the talk of all the things that might go wrong or all the difficulties I might face. You know, kind of the here's the real world talk from a father to a son. That's the image I have, and I think that's what this is happening here. This is what Jesus is doing with his 12 children, his 12 disciples. All right. You're about to go into the real world. You're about to grow up. So here are the things that might happen. Or actually, he says, here are the things that will happen. And you just got to be prepared for them. You're going to go out, and you'll have authority to drive out evil spirits, to heal, to preach the gospel. You'll have the authority to do these things in my name. Now, and he mentions here the 12. He says, Simon, Peter, his brother Andrew, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas, Matthew the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot. So those are the 12 disciples, the 12 quote-unquote children Jesus is that he is sharing these thoughts with. And so they go out. And at first he says, all right, I want you, and again, this is a hallmark of Matthew. Matthew was the Jewish tax collector, and so his focus was to talk about how Jesus was the Messiah of the Jewish people. And so here we see, he says, don't go to the Gentiles, don't go to the Samaritans, go to the Israelites. This message is for them first. Well, he doesn't say first. This message is for them. And so they needed to hear this. And so, again, kind of gives them these indications. He says, don't take any money. He says, God will provide for you. And he says, also know that there will be some who will welcome you and some who will not. There will be some who will love your message and some who will despise it. And they will rise up because it is one of those things, that if you truly understand the message, it will either heal your soul, or it will rile you up. And they said there will be people who will respond that way. And then later on in the chapter, he talks about, he says, fathers will rise up against children, children against fathers, brothers against brothers, family members. He said, at a certain point in time, people will fight about this, and just you need to be prepared. And he says you will be persecuted because of me and because of my message. Now, I don't know if that will happen to you as a disciple of Christ, but we need to be aware that there is a cost to following Jesus, to truly following Jesus. We will be made fun of. That happens. People will discount us. That happens. As soon as they hear you're a Christian, or I'm a Christian, or I'm a pastor, or whatever, I see this. I guess, I don't know if more than you, but I see this as a pastor. People introduce me that, and immediately there is a distinct shift in the way they view me. Even though they don't know me, by the very nature of my position, I'm judged according to whatever their preconceived notion is of a pastor, or their experience, and that's one of the sad things. And but it's real, and it's just something that we need to be aware of. I love this part. He says, whoever acknowledges me before men, I will also acknowledge him before the Father in heaven. And he says, be afraid of the one who destroys both soul and body He says, "Are not two sparrows sold for a penny? Yet any one of them will fall to the ground apart. Yet not one of them will fall ground to apart from the will of your Father. And even the very hairs on your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You're worth more than many sparrows." God knows the sparrows of the world. God counts. It's easier for some than others. Counts the hairs on your head. In other words, God knows everything about you. And so he knows that. He loves you. He is with you. And so even during difficult times, even when there are struggles, it's, you're not alone. God is with you. Anyone who receives a prophet because he is a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones because he is my disciple, I tell you the truth, he will certainly not lose his reward. How do you treat other disciples? How do you treat teachers? How do you treat pastors? How do you treat evangelists? How do you treat your Sunday school teachers, the leaders? This is part of what he's saying here. These people have been called maybe for a little bit more, and they're dealing with a little bit more. And so what does it mean for you to treat them with respect and kindness and grace and mercy? God says you will be rewarded by how you treat those in authority, those who have the calling and the gifting to teach and to lead others. So a few thoughts on Matthew chapter 10, on the calling of the 12 disciples, and really its effects on what it means for you and I to be called as disciples of Christ. Hope it's been helpful. We'll talk to you tomorrow.